Thanks everybody for joining. So good to see some new faces and some longtime ambassador faces. Chris, nice to see you again. But we've got multiple Chris's in here. Um, so we have a few, a few updates to go through and but really, again, as usual, want to hear from you guys. So, to kick us off, I would love to hear if anyone has any first home IQ activities to share from the last month. So that might be conversations you've had with home buyers about just education related, or it might be a presentation that you've done, or maybe you did the challenge this last month and posted something on social media. So would love to hear from you guys. And I know that Katie knows some. I'm actually going to pull up the notes Katie sent me. Scott Davis, you did some CE credit thing, right?
I
Yeah.
haven't done it yet,
Oh,
but
you
it's
haven't
in
done it yet.
in,
Okay.
in, in process though. I did
Okay.
post a joint video with one of my realtors and he asked me about first home IQ and I gave him a little 1 minute spiel on it and he pushed that on his social media as well. But yeah,
Nice.
not
That's
haven't done the
awesome.
CE quite yet. The CE might be a little bit of a challenge because at least with this title company, it's I don't know, they want it to be more uh, economic related or data related.
Mhm.
So I just have to craft it appropriately. So
Okay, well, I have maybe something. It's not so much economic related, but the 2025 Next Gen annual report is coming out next week, so March 3rd. And so we are working furiously to get these last edits in. But this is where we survey every year 1,000 millennial and Gen Z consumers, and we put together a slide deck, as well as this year we're doing a full written report, which we did in early years as well. And so anyway, the slides will be available for you guys to use in any kind of training that you want to do, which I think would be really great for referral partners. Katie's working with me on creating this won't be ready by March 3rd, but it'll be ready pretty soon after, of creating kind of a kit for using that with realtor partners or referral partners. So maybe that would be of interest.
awesome. Yeah, I'll look forward to it.
Cool. Candace,
Lynette,
were you?
Lynette, I know you did you did the email challenge a little bit ago. How did that go for you?
I did the email challenge, which was great. The thing that's interesting to me is, and maybe I'm not sure how to do it differently. There wasn't a lot of engagement, so I'm not sure what we could. Maybe it was too long. Maybe there was too much information in that one blah. But I also did a social post, and the email. I am in the process. I have a realtor partner whose husband is the COO at a large company here in town, and they have kind of a employee university. And so we were invited in. I invited us in to do a session with their employees using the First Home IQ PowerPoint that I'll co-brand with her. I'll let you guys know how that goes. I don't think that's until like the first part of April.
That is so exciting. I've talked to multiple people, and if anyone's on this call that where we've talked about this, would love for you to chime in, but about doing these kinds of workshops for employees, going into companies and delivering that. I think that's a huge, actually, Katie, that might be something we want to add to the strategies. Because Katie and I were looking at like having our core first home IQ strategies being, email, social media, presentations for first-time homebuyers, presentations in schools, and, kind of like going through the referral partners, going through each of those and creating, she'll talk about this in a second, but making it really clear, like how to leverage first home IQ in each of those scenarios. And so maybe that's another area that we could get into. And if anyone else wants to test it out so we can kind of build that out together, that'd be awesome.
I do.
Yay, great.
Hey
That's good.
there. I just wanted to add, so I started implementing new homebuyer webinars in January. I did one towards the end of January, then I did two in February. And so my goal is to do two a month. I've already got them on the schedule through April. And so they're going well. I've included the first home IQ quiz, and it took me a little bit to figure out like where I wanted to put it. And so now what I do is I put it on the opening screen of the PowerPoint and I leave that up while people are coming into the waiting room to wait. So once they come in and they're waiting for the webinar to start, that's on the opening screen. It says like, we'll start in a few minutes, and some information about the quiz. And then what I do after is I've got 5 different emails that go out after the webinar, even to those that just registered and didn't attend, that are, like one's thank you, one's the recording. But then the third one that goes out will be the first home IQ quiz. And so I'm just starting that with the one that I just had this past weekend. So I'm hoping that will get some people, because getting them to do the quiz, but not also detract from being in the webinar was kind of an issue at first. But I will say that the realtors in the area are like, they're coming to me now. Like, I had someone come up to me at a chamber event last week. They're like, "Oh yeah, I saw you're doing these webinars. This is great," and wanting to plug people into it. So it's taking a little bit, but it's taking off.
Oh, that is so exciting to hear. That's awesome. And I love that you've tested out where to put the quiz. I always imagine that in an in-person environment, still also being at the beginning because it's then people can trickle in and yeah, and then you have conversation throughout. And what I like about that is that people have some language as they go into the webinar or the session, whatever it is. And because people often don't know what questions to ask, they feel uncomfortable, but having the quiz, it kind of like spurs some thoughts. So that's cool.
Yeah, I put it at the end. So the first time I tried it at the end, but then when you leave the webinar, boom, it's gone. Then the second time I tried it at the beginning, but those people who come in really late, they miss it at the beginning. So now I've got it at the beginning and on the thank you page at the end. But I'm hoping I can catch those people in the email that maybe are too, like, can't figure it out to do it during the webinar itself.
This is great. I'm going to add this. I don't know if you noticed we've been updating the presentation, or I'm sure you didn't notice, but we have been updating the presentations a little bit and adding a presentation guide for each in the presentation library. And so in the guide, the idea is that we're making it give you some ideas on like places to add story or places to, expand on or whatever. And so we'll add in there, like, recommending the quiz at the beginning. And the other thing I would say is that we are going to do an update on the quiz over the next couple of months. So first on the docket is finishing up these presentations, and then we'll go into the quiz. So if anyone has feedback or wants to be part of a committee and can continue to expand on that, open to your feedback. So.
Hey, I have a quick question if I can chime in. First of all, Candace, well, thank you for sharing, but would you be open to sharing your templates with the community of like how you wrote your emails?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just finished them, and I loaded them into my CRM yesterday. So yeah, I've got them in Word where I was trying to write them out and see like how I wanted to do them. So yeah, I will share those with the group. I'll
Cool.
email them to
Okay,
you.
I'll sync up with you on that. And then one other idea is, I don't know, Rick asked how you're advertising. So are you promoting on like Eventbrite or something where you're collecting their registration emails ahead of time?
So I am using Eventbrite, which is really good, or I've really liked using that platform. I've done some minor advertising on there. And then I have what's called an Eventbrite, it's called a collection where you can list all of the events. So then on the flyers that I've done some flyers and put up around and given to some realtors, and I post on social media in the local groups in our area that these are coming up. and I use a static link that goes to that Eventbrite page that has, so I don't have to change a link every time I add a course. It just goes to that one page, and if there's something scheduled, they can pick from the date. I kind of played around with that in the beginning too, because I was like, man, I don't want to have to do a a flyer every time. So that the flyer just says like twice a month, go to this link, and there's a QR code and a link to go to the
That's
page
cool.
on
And
Eventbrite.
I know with Eventbrite, they can also follow you so that when you post new events, it will auto send them an email. So for everybody else listening who's wanting to do webinars, that is another platform that you might want to consider playing around with. And Candace, you're on Circle, so if they have any questions, they can reach out to you directly.
Sure.
But that's a great idea. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we'll
no
send
problem.
you some First Home IQ swag for sharing.
Thanks.
Has anyone done any Facebook events?
We don't have anything that we've done so far. However, we're partnered up with two major universities here in Colorado, and some exciting news on that front. We have 5 webinar series scheduled for the employees of these universities, and we're using the First Home IQ Money Matters. We're gonna be teaching budgeting and renting versus owning, and doing first time homebuyer workshops utilizing some of those assets. So really looking forward to that and seeing how that goes.
Wow, that is exciting. Nice work. That reminds me, I just met with a couple of students at oh my gosh, Carnegie Mellon, they started a real estate club at the university, and they're introduced by Michael Vandy, and they are going to, what we've been talking with them about is like becoming impact ambassadors. And there's a few other youth, like influencer type of people that are going to do this as well. So they'll create a short video and then share the free courses with their community. So anyway, something to think about if you're interfacing in any way with a younger audience is just like if there's leaders in that group or people who are part of a club or a class that you think would be a good fit for something like that. We're really working on bringing in younger voices to represent the First Home IQ mission. But super excited about that. Any other success stories you want to share? Looks like there's some good chat going on here. Oh, love this post from Alice Lund. Thanks for sharing, Brian. That's awesome.
I did my first workshop on Monday.
Nice. How'd it go?
Well, I had like 8 people who signed up, but only 2 showed up. So that's okay. But it went well.
Good. So was this virtual?
No, it was live.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would imagine 2 people, whoever shows up live is going to be like a very engaged person, or potential, client. So that's great. I know a lot of people have struggled with, the getting people there. Have you had success? Actually, Kimmy on the call, we've talked about that before. Just the struggle of like actually getting people in person.
Yes.
Have any ideas for Terry or others who are trying to get, more people to show up to those events?
My only advice to that would be invite way more people than you think you need to. I know sometimes on live events, it's easy to like, oh, maybe I don't want to invite this person, or I don't want to have, I don't want to have 100 people show up. But the reality is probably 50 to 60% of your RSVPs will actually show. So I don't think you can invite too many people.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've got one scheduled for next month as well in a different location. So it's near a military base. So I'm hoping maybe we get more people from that. We'll see.
Terry,
So
question on that. Are you inviting them from your database? Like they've already been exposed to you, so they at least know who you are. What's your strategy in inviting them? Is it just an email? Are you calling and texting for reminders and follow-up?
So I did a Facebook event, number one, and we marketed it as well. We did lots of reels. We did an interview with some first-time home buyers. So we did some things like that with an invitation at the end. I texted out to people that were in my database. I know people don't answer a lot of emails, so I text is usually the best way to get their attention. So and like I said, I had people say they were coming, they just didn't show up.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
remember when Joe, I don't know if you watched our mastermind just a couple weeks ago with Joe Soto, but I think he said he has like 20 different touch points, like between calling and texting them, like leading up, which sounded really excessive, but he like talks through his strategy on like how he promotes the event leading up to it, which is getting him some traction. So maybe that could be worth re-looking at that, just to see, but yeah.
I also know that I think it was Teresa, I'm forgetting her last name, but one of our ambassadors did a successful event but it was partnered with a local I think it was like a bar, where they often have trivia right after. And so
That was
anyway,
Tiffany Poyer.
Tiffany Poirier. Yeah, right. That's what it was. But having something, and I've hosted homebuyer events as well, and doing it in a space where people are already coming is obviously going to be really easy, and that's a place that you can definitely leverage the First Home IQ brand, because being a nonprofit, it helps people feel more comfortable with that partnership rather than like it feeling too much like a sales kind of situation. So anyway, just something to think about with leveraging First Home IQ.
okay, I like that.
I'd even encourage your invites, bring a friend, or if there's someone else you think would benefit, because sometimes people, maybe
I
they don't want to go to
did.
something by themselves, but if they bring a friend, and that helps
Yeah,
add the numbers too.
that's good. Yeah, I added that in there too. Bring a friend. We've got some extra seats available. So
Well, it's a big win to have done it. So it's a good start. It's awesome.
yeah, it was a start. So it's good. We had some good practice.
Yeah. All right. So feel free to keep chiming in with your wins, your strategies, your questions. I'm just going to walk through a few updates. So one is we have the Modern Mortgage Summit next week. This is hosted by Dave and Todd, and a lot of our ambassadors are on stage. It's just a really incredible event to learn strategies on, from leaders in mortgage and real estate, or to host real estate events that you can stream this. So anyway, if you don't have your virtual ticket yet, you can go to modernmortgagesummit.com and access that. If you're a Modern Mortgage IQ member, you get that automatically. So just reach out if you don't have that. Okay, so big launch with FinLocker last month or over the last month. And so since Brian is on the call, I'd love for you to share just briefly kind of what it means, again, to be part of the FinLocker relationship in terms of like, how people are leveraging First Home IQ with FinLocker.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. And would love anybody that's got feedback or any experience so far to share as well. But I put in the chat, Kristen referenced it, a post from Alice Lund from Leader One. Last night, she conducted an in-person home buying webinar, leveraged the combination of First Home IQ content, right, with the technology that Leader One has through FinLocker. And what was cool is I knew she was doing it. So last night I was watching our tracker and 4 people downloaded the app while she was in the webinar. So just another great way, in addition to the content, the quiz, and the engagement that comes from that content, pulling people deeper into the ecosystem through the First Home IQ app is just another great asset to you. You're doing any kind of webinar seminars for home buying. And I think we've got 15 or 16, maybe it's a little bit more, of the ambassadors set up as users on the platform. We're here to support and help anyone that needs any kind of a kickstart to get going. Just reach out to us and we'll get you rolling. But so far we're off to a good start.
Awesome, thanks. And I did see a comment in here from Marquita on, okay, I've got multiple dogs at my house today, so I'm so sorry. But about a strategy for schools. So this is something that Katie and I mentioned earlier. We're building out I don't know if we'll call it a marketing course or probably more of a strategy course, but just trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys to like focus on or take a step-by-step approach to any of the areas you want to focus on with First Home IQ. So if you want to go into schools, for instance, we will put together kind of step-by-step approach on how to do that. If you are already in schools, like some of the core areas I would say is we talked about email database, just how you're sharing education through email to your database. Social media, same thing, video, then going into schools and doing first-time homebuyer workshops, and then working with referral partners. And we may add in there the office going into for employees. But if you guys are doing any of that or passionate about any of that, we'd love to hear from you. And if you want to be involved, we could have a quick conversation, but we want to have your input as we continue to build that out. So, so you may have seen already in the course that there's a new one in there. We're going to be adding to that, but that's kind of the rough outline. So, Katie, anything you want to share on that?
Sorry, I thought I was muted. No, you got it. I think that's, yeah, no, you're good. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
I add something in there
Yeah, please.
with high schools and access. I just had a lucky break. A business owner in town here said, "Hey, you should be in touch with this person." So he put me in touch with her. I didn't know. I knew she was from the high school. So she's the College and Career Readiness Advisor and Youth Workforce Specialist. And so she was calling me because she wanted to get kids to doing internships and job shadowing and things like that. But we talked about the classes, and she got super excited because her whole goal is to help kids either get into, a trade school or college, or and so she loved. So I'm excited. I just backed into it. But I'm just saying that title, College and Career Readiness Advisor and Youth Workforce Specialist, it's a hell of a title. But there are people like that out there in the high schools that's their whole job, is to help kids get to that next level.
That is awesome. That is something we should absolutely put in there, because I think when the right person hears this, it's like, this is what we've been looking for. In fact, many of you, when you found this, you were like, oh, this is what I was looking for. I'm already doing this and this helps me. And that's what, I feel like that finding the right person in high schools, what we found is also there's certain teachers who are more involved in helping their students get to the next level, whether it be getting a good job or going to college. And those are the people that are more attracted to leveraging the curriculum. So it's kind of like finding that person. But that's why I put it in the chat, but we have just a very basic playbook, but it has some email templates in there. So we'll add that title to that group as well. So thanks. That's exciting. Keep us posted on that. And also, if you guys are like, I got this intro, but I don't have time to be interfacing with the school, we are totally here to support that. We can go either way. You can fully, manage all of that. Or if you were like, hey, I want to just introduce the organization I'm involved with, and feel free to make that intro and we can support you with that too. So.
One other idea, Kristen, just to pop in really quickly, is I feel like LinkedIn is such an underutilized social media tool. And I think because, educators, principals, superintendents probably might be more inclined to be on that platform. I wonder if that would be, something that you incorporate into your prospecting tool. Maybe you spend 15 minutes a week and you're just looking for educators on LinkedIn in your area, and you can reach out to them that way as opposed to sending an email, because if you're on LinkedIn, they have your face, your profile, they can kind of see, but just developing some thought leadership around that and using LinkedIn. I know, Brian, you have a tremendous amount of success using LinkedIn and always encourage that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for B2B. Obviously, I think I happen to think that it can be really good for B2C, because all of the Bs that are on LinkedIn are ultimately Cs, and their young adult children are potential future consumers and home buyers. So I think it's just a matter of time before people start getting traction on consumer engagement, if you will, through LinkedIn.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so I would love to do a quick welcome to our new ambassadors. And I know we have at least a couple of you on the call. I would love to hear from you, Carrie, Chris, Jake, and Felena. So would love to, I'm putting you on the spot, but if anyone would be open to sharing why you joined First Home IQ and kind of what makes you passionate about being an ambassador. I always find that an inspiring part of this call. So Chris, I see your face, Chris Garcia. Would you mind sharing?
Sure. So I've always taught homebuyer education classes through our down payment assistance program. So this was a perfect merge of the two. And I have a class this Saturday that I'm teaching, and I put a lot of the slides from here into it. So it's been a big, huge help. But for me personally, I was a foster parent, and I adopted 3 kids through foster care. And knowing what these kids go through, or don't go through as far as financial literacy, inspired me to want to reach out to the foster care groups in my local area and teach a class on that. And so again, this was a perfect fit for that. So that's kind of my motivation.
Beautiful. Felena, how about you?
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. Hans Brunner is my partner, and he first came across what you had to offer and suggested I take a look at it. Said he felt like it was a perfect fit. And as soon as I started going through it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so perfect. And that it kind of marries the 2 parts of what I do in my day. So I do a lot in the community. One that is most rewarding is that I work with freshman students and just find out what they need help with. And one of the big requests has been around financial education. And so the teacher and I are working on building that out now. It's something we're going to do through the rest of the year. And so the timing is perfect. Everything I do in the community, though, is youth related. So as I'm hearing you talk, it's triggering all of these ideas. So I know several college and career counselors. I know several organizations that work with foster kids. I had foster kids as well. And I know someone that specifically works with those foster kids that are aging out of the system. So they're perfect. I don't know. I'm so excited. There's so much to learn and so much to go through. But I think that ultimately, what this does is it helps me build my brand, because this is who I am. This is what I do, and I've been looking for a way to incorporate the business side with the philanthropic side. So I think this helps me marry that. So thank you for what you're doing, and I'm so excited to meet the rest of you who are like-minded.
Yeah, what an incredible community. And thank you so much for sharing. That's so inspiring. For any of you who, I hope you know that we are fully here to support you having impact in your communities. And if there's anything that we can do on top of what you're provided, we want to support you with that. So I was thinking as you were talking, the teacher resource, we have a teacher resource portal, and I don't know if we communicate that well enough to you guys that that's available for free for educators. And so it might be something that, you can then add value to those individuals. I've also been, I've mentor a high school student and through the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and was thinking, I'm going through the presentation material on an individual basis, and I was thinking that some of this might be easier to do, like if we adjusted some of the material for those of you who have those individual conversations, we could easily do that. So just as different situations come up, let me know, and would love that feedback so we can continue to support the greatest amount of impact. So. Okay, cool. So we have a couple other things here. Just want to highlight our big financial partners. All of you are making it possible for us to be able to have the kind of impact that we're having in schools and with the curriculum, and then of course supporting what you guys are doing. But we have some who donate a portion of every loan or a $500 flat fee to provide extra donations. And we are so grateful and appreciative of that. And we also have our quiz responses. The tier has not changed very much, so we are going to do a refresh on this, and I'm excited to see how and what we're going to come up with some new ways to help you in delivering those quizzes. So we'll continue to look at the quiz leaderboard and probably come up with some contests around it, so we can kind of create some competition. So. Okay, so Katie mentioned this earlier, but we did have a really great masterclass with Joe Soto over a couple weeks ago. He talked about his strategy around webinars, and also Todd Bookspan came in and talked about his strategy around that and how he's leveraging the materials. I thought it was so productive. Like, it was really specific, and so if you missed it, make sure that you catch that. It's in our marketing resource portal, and I'll also drop these slides so that you guys, there's links in here so you can grab those. And then next month, it's going to continue to be very practical. We're going to have Ambassador Patty Newby talk about education-based realtor partnerships, which is going to match really well with the first home the Next Gen Homebuyer report that we're releasing next week. That could also be a really great tool. So I'll talk about that in addition to Patty Newby. But Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about what she's planning to speak on?
Yeah, so Patty, she also really does a lot of webinars and presentations. It's going to be different than our last mastermind in that she's specifically taking First Home IQ materials and some of her own resources and going directly to realtor partners. So she's prospecting and pitching new realtors to get their business through educating them and showing them, like, statistics about next gen buyer behaviors and patterns and all kinds of things. So she walked me through some of her presentation and what she used, and she's literally getting some pretty good size realtor referral partners through educating them. So we're going to have her share her playbook, and it'll be a great time for you guys to come off camera and ask her questions during the Q&A and kind of really learn tactically what is working for her specifically.
Yeah, these calls are open to anyone, so you can invite, whoever to join those calls. But we really try to gear them towards what our ambassadors are looking for and the feedback we get from you guys. And then we also put not just the recording, but insights and any additional materials that they provide for our ambassadors exclusively in the ambassador community. Okay, so one other big announcement, I'm realizing I didn't have it in the slides here, but it's because it just came about. Super excited. It's on the impact side of things, but we had an introduction to an organization called Student Paths, where they make curriculum available to schools across the country. And getting into schools has been a real slow initiative for us. It's like I said before, it's like every teacher that is like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in that, but it's hard to scale that. And so I'm so excited about this partnership with Student Paths. They have agreed to put our curriculum into their program. And so we're going to have our first on IQ curriculum in front of 40,000 active students across the country. So big win on the impact side. I think it will continue, like just having that kind of impact, feedback, involvement is going to also allow us to continue to grow and add more materials. And again, we're adding that kind of youth ambassador initiative as well. So having their voices involved is going to continue to grow that. So super excited about that. Okay, so next on the agenda is looking at our monthly challenge. So this is something we just started pretty much this year. I think we started a little bit in December, but this is where we're giving you just one thing to do that is like if you do anything this month, do this one thing. And we try to make it super simple. Like here last month was the email template where actually I'm going to pull it up in the platform so you can see where to find those. Remind me later. Let's go to the resource library. The monthly challenge is always going to be pinned to the top. And Katie has put together a lot of materials for you to be able to just make it super easy. You can find the past month's challenges as well. And we're about to organize this a little bit so that you can click on challenge and see, past month's challenges and things like that. I think it was this, December, January challenge was this one. So you can always go back to them if you are new to joining or you didn't take part in this. There's an email template that has been put together and some, we had a lot of great examples there. And then Katie, do you want to talk about wrapping up this month's challenge and moving into the next?
Yeah. So thank you guys to everybody that has participated. It's fun to start seeing some of that snowball momentum. So this last month, our challenge was to post one thing each week about First Home IQ or something that's financial education based, whether that's a reel, a story, or a standard post. For those that really just need something that's super plug and play, we have links in there for some pre-made content that you can literally download. We have the suggested captions and hashtags. Or if you want to put your own spin on it, there's a lot of flexibility on how you could do that. So like Kristen showed, the details for that challenge are still in there. So if you guys want to go back and, make that a goal for next month, that's totally awesome. Anytime you guys are sharing social media content, we would love for you to tag us so that we can share it on our platform. And just, it allows other ambassadors and industry professionals and, students to see the content that's being shared. And then for this next month's, for March's challenge, I will post that by the end of the day to Circle. What we're going to do, it's really simple. It's one video reel that you can post, and you can do that on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. What I did is I took an idea of a reel that was starting to trend, and they have a story that drops the pictures, one at a time. So I did the example to put myself out there. Let me tell you guys, I have so much compassion for you. It's like so easy for me to be like, just go create content. And I'm embarrassed to tell you this one reel. It took me like 15 minutes to do because it's windy and I had to edit it. And so I was just like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and do it. But I put the template in the challenge. So literally all you guys are going to have to do is go into a Word document, print the slides. There's like 16 pages, right? And you just kind of stand there, drop it one at a time, but it frames the story. And so what I did is I took information from the Next Gen Homebuyer Report and in speaking directly to that next gen buyer that is renting. And it's kind of talking about like, you want to buy a home, but you feel really overwhelmed and this and that, and pulls in some stats. And then it kind of frames that like, hey, I'm not going to pressure you, but I want to help educate you. So you can read the script when you download it. But that's the challenge for the month, is just to do that once. You don't have to talk. You can put trending audio to it, and we'll suggest the caption and the hashtag, so that you guys can participate. And I would also say, depending on the messaging, you can completely change that up a little bit if you want to, whatever. But that's the idea, keeping it really simple.
Yeah, the idea is not that we are forcing you into a box. It's that we're giving you something to work with. So if you want to change everything up, go for it. Still tag us, we'll share it, all the things. But we just want to make it simple. So thank you so much, Katie, for putting yourself out there. That is, I know, really difficult. And for all of you who decide to put yourselves out there, just know we know how hard that can be. And Katie, who has said that they has agreed to do the challenge so far?
Michael Creed already recorded his. His will be posting on Friday. So we'll share that in the Ask and Share and then on our social platform. And Joe Soto I think I sent out a text also to anybody that's in our text community. And a couple people, Marquita replied that she was game. Brandon Goldberg said he was game. So that's just another quick plug. If you guys do not receive our text messages, I would love for you to opt into that, so that when we're sending inspiration or reminders for meetings, you guys just get a quick text reminder, because sometimes things get lost in chat or in email.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in the chat just to make sure everyone has it. So you would text ambassador to this phone number. So just make sure you make sure you're in that thread. Let us know if you're not, and we can send that to you individually. But Katie's doing a lot more communication through the text platform, not in a noisy or
Yeah, we're not
way.
spammy,
No,
but just
no
those
spamming.
subtle reminders of like, hey, here's a quick inspiration, or here's a link to this in case you missed it. So again, I just, Kristen and I know it's noisy. You guys have a lot going on. And so we're just trying to put simple little nuggets into you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's see if we've kind of covered some of these things. I did want to show you guys, well, actually, Katie, we're redoing the Ask and Share channel, right? Okay, so soon there's going to be some updates there. We do want to make the community just as easy as possible for you to find things, stay connected, and also share the inspiration in the community. So we'll move over the Ask and Share. Everything that anyone has posted will still be in the channel, but we're just going to organize it a bit better so that, like those strategies that we talked about, you can filter and see what has someone done with first-time homebuyers, what has someone done in schools, or that type of thing. So we're just going to ask for your support and involvement as we do that. These calls, I think, are so helpful to hear from each other. And I think sharing that kind of inspiration internally and externally will be really valuable too. So, all right. Any updates from you guys that we haven't covered, or questions that you'd like to bring up? Chris.
I think you just covered it, but I just want to clarify, because the comment earlier about the gal who was teaching the reaching next gen buyers for realtors. Do we have a source on the site where there's an actual recording of a presentation of some kind? Is that what you're talking about?
Okay, so not of that one, but the all of the presentations are currently being recorded by Todd Bookspan while he's doing these a webinar series as part of a gift to the community to say, like, here's an example of someone. So I think we've got 4 of them recorded, and they're in the presentation library. Let me just pull that up real quick. So under presentation materials, then if you go into like this one, you'll see, oh, it's not in here, so we got to add it in there. All right, so we should soon have Yeah, okay. We don't have it in here. So we'll start adding in those recordings so that they're under the materials. The presenter's guide is what I was mentioning, has like some tips, in here, like slide 17, you could say this and that type of thing. And then there's a promo flyer, different worksheets that are associated with it. But those are only for those four. We don't, right now, this is 2024's presentation and it's just a slide deck. But starting next week, we'll have a slide deck and a written report, and those could be things, and it's branded by First Home IQ. So those are all things that you can then share with referral partners and, in your community, and set up presentations to deliver that. I will be doing a presentation on that specifically. I'll be doing a couple different webinars on that. So one of those I'll at least drop in here. But if anyone else does one before that or in addition to that, would love to share that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if anyone has any ideas on like other ways we can support you with that, I think that's a great way to show your involvement with First Home IQ and bring leadership. We're talking about some of the lack of trust. We're talking about the with financial institutions. We're talking about the financial barriers and opportunities with millennials and Gen Z. So these are just really like fueling the mission around First Home IQ. So if there's other things that we can provide you guys to help you in sharing that and making that useful, let us know. Any other updates or questions or things you have coming up over the next month? All right. Well, then, Katie, anything else we're missing?
No, I feel like we covered a lot, but this is just thank you guys for showing up and for just sharing. I think that really is our goal of these calls, is to collaborate and to share ideas. So every time you guys are showing up and, Candace, you have feedback on how your event went and what didn't work, and Felina and Hans, all of those just make these calls so valuable. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come and to share with the group. Like, that is our goal, is to better serve you, is giving ideas.
And don't hesitate to reach out by email or text or whatever if you have questions or things coming up, and let us know when you do have those events or success stories so that we can add those to the community as well, and just be tracking our impact. And then we will be in touch next week as we launch the First Home IQ Next Gen Homebuyer Report, and hope to see you at the summit. There's one thing. Oh, and Katie will have an office hour. Yeah, next Wednesday.
Yes, come to those office hours. Those are really where we roll up our sleeves and get tactical on whatever you guys are needing with First Home IQ resources. So come for a couple minutes or stay for the whole thing, and that'll roll really nicely into the Modern Mortgage Summit on Thursday.
All right, thanks everybody.